What's going on? What's going on? We are back for another one. Terrence Crawford versus Manny Pacquiao. Um, after Terrence Crawford's last fight against Kell Brooks, he got his knockout and he was asked about who he wanted to fight. Um, he said, not Earl Spence. I don't want to fight Earl Spence. I don't want to fight any other guys. The guy that I want to fight is Manny Pacquiao. He said that, he believed that, the fight before was almost completely done. So that he believes that now, they should be able to get it done where he can fight Manny Pacquiao. I guess a big, huge fight for a big, huge payday. And it's not going to happen. The reality situation is, with the first time that supposedly was supposed to happen, I personally believe it's complete BS. I'm going to kind of go into it by kind of talking about the place where it was supposed to be held. Now, this fight was supposed to be held in Qatar. And according to Bob Arum, everything was pretty much almost completely done. They were ready to go, but that the fight didn't happen because the Board of Health decided that it was going to be too dangerous. They couldn't have a crowd. They weren't going to be allowed to have a crowd. So that's why the fight didn't happen. So a lot of problems and issues with that. Number one, when it comes to quote the Board of Health, they might care about the citizens over there, but in general, they don't really care about people like that in Qatar. They care about their citizens, but a lot of the people there, it's a very wealthy country. They make a lot of money off of oil, and all the citizens themselves, they benefit from this. They got top-notch healthcare systems, all that. When it comes to everything that's going on in the world, I think they've only had like 137,000 cases in the country, and out of that, only 235 have actually perished from it. So the numbers of deaths are very, very, very low in that particular country. And even with the people catching it, they're able to get the proper treatment and keep from, going to the deep end for the most part. As far as all the workers there, though, in Qatar, what they do is they bus a lot of, not bus, but they ship basically people to their country to work from other countries. And when it comes to their health and their well-being, they could care less about them. And these are basically the people that probably would be working in an event like this. Qatar is supposed to be holding the World Cup in 2022. And by the time that happens, there will have been over 14,000 deaths from people building these venues. Over 14,000 will have died. They'll bring these people, they'll have 30, 40 people in a small, tiny room. They'll have an outhouse where if they want to poop, whatever it is, they got to go outside, piss, they got to go outside into an outhouse. No showers. They'll have one little sink where people have to use it for their water, for bathing themselves, everything, and then they just have to sleep on the floor. And that's basically what it is. And this is, when it comes to them actually working, you're supposed to only work a certain amount of hours in the heat. They'll have them go past that. They won't give them adequate fluids, and they perish. Cool. They put them in a box, they ship them out, and bring in the next person. That's how they do it. So when it comes to health and stuff like that, it's not necessarily a big thing, especially when it comes to the people that be, let's say, working an event or a situation. Now we all know places like Texas, like Earl Spence is about to fight Danny Garcia, and they're going to hold it in a big giant, AT&T Stadium, in a place where you can still have a certain amount of crowd. Javante Tank Davis, same type of thing. They were able to hold it in a big area where they could social distance people and they could still have a crowd. Qatar could do the same thing. Qatar, due to the fact that they're having the World Cup, they have massive stadiums. It's the freaking World Cup. They're building 4 stadiums to hold these events. 2 of them are definitely 100% done. I think they're supposed to have 2 other ones done before the end of the year. So they would have that available, for them. And when you're holding an event like this, you don't care about a crowd necessarily anyway. The royal families, basically, they would just be, getting this event over there just to bring prestige to the area and to bring eyes to an event that's happening there. That's all that would be. That would be the main purpose of having it. It's kind of like how in Saudi Arabia had Anthony Joshua. It didn't matter how many people were in the crowd. There were barely anybody that actually was there. That place is basically empty. You know, there weren't that many people there, and most of it was just men. You know, just a couple. It wasn't really that many people. Most of the place was empty. But it didn't matter. That wasn't the whole focus. The whole focus was to bring attention to this new, stadium that they brought, that they want to have other events in, and also what Prince could ball out. You know what I'm saying? He could have this event where he could have these guys come over there. They can do their little boxing thing. He had Anthony Joshua had to hold his son at the end of the day and parade him around, the ring. That's what that was there for. They didn't care about the finance. They didn't care about the money. It wasn't a thing where they're trying to make some kind of profit off of it. That's why they gave up the 85 M's to pay Anthony Joshua, to pay Andy Ruiz, pay the rest of the card, and pay Eddie Hearn and Matchroom. That's all that was, period. And all this would have been an event to be showcased, and then for whoever is putting up the money, for him to be the big man. That's all that is. It's not. It wouldn't be an event to bring in a crowd necessarily, or to make a profit of some nature. That's not what the event would be about. And if the royal family, this is a monarchy. It's run by a royal family. The royal family said, "Yo, this is happening. It's happening. Ain't no board of health or anybody else gonna tell them no, it's not gonna happen. Okay, it's just gonna happen because that's what he said. That's what the king said. Okay." That's not, that's the other part of it. This is a monarchy. This ain't no democratic place, nothing like that. One person says, this thing's gonna happen, it's gonna freaking happen. Period. That's it. That wasn't the case. And also the fact that you would wait until you're almost done with it, then the Board of Health, like in a situation, especially with everything that's going on, that'd be the first people you talk to. But those weren't the first people that you talked to. Doesn't make any sense. It would be right in there as everything was going on. So it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And then the other big part about it is that when it comes to Manny Pacquiao would be the reason this fight would be happening. If something of this nature was happening, they would be doing this in order to bring Manny Pacquiao there. Terence Crawford wouldn't be a necessary thing. He could fight somebody like a Mikey Garcia, and still be able to do that event and still get that money all by himself. It'd be like Anthony Joshua. It'd be like somebody coming up to Eddie Hearn and saying, "Hey, I want to do this big, huge fight in Saudi Arabia, and I'm going to give Anthony Joshua $40 million. Oh, where in Saudi Arabia? Oh, where? You're doing the event? Oh, no, this prince is giving us the money, this and that. Yeah." Eddie Hearn's going to say, F you. He's going to go straight directly to that prince, get that money himself, and run that event. He's not going to be no B-side to anybody. So why would Manny Pacquiao be a B-side in that situation? Whereas letting Bob Arum have control of this fight. He has the setup, the people, everything that could get this taken care of him, and he could have 100% control of an event like this. He doesn't need Bob Arum to get those funds from Qatar if Qatar wanted to do that fight. He could go get those funds himself. He could go negotiate that stuff. He has Al Heyman. He has PBC behind him. He could handle all that himself. Why would he deal with Bob Arum, who was gypped him before in the past and did him dirty before in the past financially? Why would he do that? Makes no sense. Set him up with Timothy Bradley. Set him up with that robbery against Jeff Horn. He did all that. Why would you deal with him? Why would you going to pay him whatever percentile Bob Arum's going to want, for something like that? Why would you deal with that? It makes absolutely no sense when you can go make this move yourself. And you can fight somebody that has no chance of beating you, or has a lesser chance of beating you than fighting a Terence Crawford. Makes no sense. And if Qatar is completely out of the situation and Bob Arum has to set this up himself, like he already said, he's not putting up the funds for any fight. He didn't put up the funds when it came to Manny Pacquiao when he was at Top Rank. He's not putting up those funds now. He said himself, he's not putting up any funds for Sean Porter, for Danny Garcia, for Keith Thurman. The kind of finances, the money that will need to be put up for those fights, he's not going to do it. He's just not going to do it, period. So that fight's not happening. And if they were doing the fight here, even if he was going to be willing to put up those funds, it still makes no sense. Because why would you go fight him, a guy that just fought Kell Brooks on regular TV, who they didn't believe was worth them moving that event to somewhere else where they can make money off a gate? We've seen it with Gervonta Tank Davis in Santa Cruz, where they moved it. As soon as Texas became open, they could do events, they moved it over there because they knew they could make money off of it. Tickets as high as $1,600+. 9,000 people in there. Danny Garcia versus Earl Spence. moved to what's with the AT&T Stadium because they believe they could make funds off that event by moving into a place where you have, you could have fans. They didn't do that with Terence Crawford. They didn't do that with Lomachenko and Teofimo. I guess they didn't believe financially was worth moving everything to another place. They didn't believe that. Why would you deal with those type of people? Where you can fight Earl Spence, someone that's doing 350,000 versus Shawn Porter, 360,000 plus versus Mikey Garcia, and he's about to do 350,000 plus versus Danny Garcia, and he's doing major gates. Same risk. So why would I take this risk for this, even if it's an upfront money this with lower, back end money, when I can do this, take the same amount of risk on a bigger event, on a platform that actually knows how to promote fights, who actually promotes their fighters in PBC and Fox, instead of trashing them and belittling them and minimizing them like ESPN does Terence Crawford. They just came out and said Terence Crawford ain't nowhere near being pound for pound number one. That's what Max Kellerman just said. Why would you deal with those people who keep continuously minimize what this man does when you could deal with people over here who have maximized, this other fighter over here and maximize these other fighters over here? Even after losses, Mikey Garcia is still a big fight for Manny Pacquiao, where they're still going to do 300,000-400,000 plus pay-per-views. Makes no sense to deal with these people over here at all with the way they run business. It has nothing to do with Terence Crawford's skills or his ability, none of that. I'm just talking about the way things run, the way they treat their fighters, the way they promote their fighters and push their fighters, completely different than the way they do it over here. And you're over here already. So why skirt back over there? These same people that even after you were done from them, when you were done with them, they still were trying to keep you from doing fights, trying to threaten other promoters that you're trying to work with into not doing business with you so they could get a cut of your money, even though you weren't signed. Where when you signed with Al Heyman, they automatically had to file lawsuits against Top Rank and ESPN to get them off of your tail so you could do your thing. Why would he deal with them? It doesn't make any sense. Just in general, doesn't make any sense. Financially, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever for him to fight Terence Crawford, especially when he has somebody like Earl Spence available there for him. Even a Mikey Garcia there for him. You're better off fighting Mikey. Monetarily, it's better to fight Mikey on Fox than it is to fight Terence Crawford on ESPN. That's just the reality of the situation, just reality of what it is. So, if anybody who's thinking that, this fight could still happen, there's possibility, answer that is no. This fight's not going to happen. Absolutely not. It's not going to happen in any other country over there, any country, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, any place like that. And it's also definitely not going to be happening in the United States because Bob Arum is not putting up that dough. But anyway, for now, like, subscribe, share. I'm out.